what happened there? This car rolled in with a clutch control valve fault. We pulled the engine and the gearbox out together. Fun fact, this car has an engine that's already been built by Magnus. Magnus are great at what they do. It's a relatively straightforward build, just rods and pistons, no cams. So we left the engine untouched. We changed the clutch control valve in the gearbox. We added injectors, we added 4-bar map sensors, we added an LSD, and we added TTE turbos, which the owner had sat lying around. So we flogged all of that in, put it on the dyno, and unfortunately, with this being a 720S, fuel pressure was crashing before we even passed the 800 wheel horsepower mark. So now we have the fuel tank out. We are going to upgrade the fuel pumps with Senna pumps. Tune it on pump gas, hoping to see around 900 to 950 wheel. And we will also be tuning on race gas. So race gas in this case will be E85. Should make around 1200 wheel, no problem. This car is running 1050cc injectors, which is enough for around 1200, 1250 wheel. If you want to go past 1250, 1300 wheel, I'd suggest the 1300cc injectors. It just gives you a little bit more headroom. With it being a stock Lodge and the 2018 car, we're going to see some slip at around 1100 to 1200 wheel, around that mark. So it's paramount that you add a clutch breather to the 2018 cars. The more power you put through your gearbox, the hotter it gets, right? The hotter the clutch gets, and if the clutch gets hotter, the clutch oil gets hotter. And if the clutch oil gets hotter, it needs more space to breathe. If you don't put a clutch breather on your 1000 wheel Mclaren, you will get clutch breather leaks. So we've added the clutch breather in there now. We also deleted the intake sound generator system and the secondary air injection system, so this will be wicked. Should be tuning it tonight. So on this car we're upgrading the fuel system. So I'm very, very proud of the way we upgrade fuel systems on the McLarens, because there's no AN fittings, there's no dodgy piping, there's no wear items. We learned from the best, right? And who is the best with McLaren? It's McLaren. We took the Mclaren Senna fuel pumps. This is a Mclaren Senna fuel pump here. These are E5 LMs. They're very, very popular pumps in the automotive industry. Like the Urus has one of these, the Bugatti has one of these, the Veyron has one of these. Our Turbo S actually has one of these, but in the Senna, because it was a track car that they want to run super rich for the track, they have 2 of these. That gives you 1,000 liters per hour of fueling, so, or 1,100 liters per hour of fueling. It's 550 liters per hour per pump on the stock controllers. You can boost the pumps with like the ID controller or the torque bike controller to get 1,000 liters per hour per pump. So you can get up to 2,000 liters per hour through the Senna pumps. McLaren make this part. We buy it from McLaren. We drop it into the fuel tank. We modify the wiring to suit our needs. We add an additional fuel pump controller, and that basically gives us 1,000 liters per hour of fueling with no bullshit. It's a factory fitted fuel system. If McLaren was to upgrade the fuel system in your 2018 720S, this is how they would do it. So we drop this into the fuel tank, as you can see. This is the interesting part, right? So this is a 720S fuel pump. This is what I take out of a 720S, right? It's they're actually very similar in design, but you can see it only has 1 pump here, right? Because they only needed the 720S to have 550 liters per hour of fueling. They actually have the provision here for the second pump. They just never put it in. With the Senna pump, you can see you have 2 pumps factory fitted into the same basket, right? So we drop this into the fuel tank. It drops right in, clips right in. We take another part from the Senna, which is, we take the top hat. Another funny part, actually. This is the 720S top hat. You have a provision for 1 fuel pump here, right? You can see the pins in there. And this is the provision for the other fuel pump that doesn't exist on a 720S. But they left the provision there anyway, as if they were gonna put the second pump in, but they changed their mind at the last second. But then here you have the Senna top hat, okay? On the Senna top hat, you can see you have 2 provisions here. 1, 2 for both of the fuel pumps. So again, with this being a factory made top hat. There are no leak points. There's nothing that you need to maintain. A lot of the aftermarket fuel systems use CNC top hats, which aren't a bad thing, but with it being an aftermarket item and made out of aluminium, it can corrode, right, with ethanol or methanol fuels. But with this being a plastic top hat by McLaren or for McLaren, you know they've got like 30-40 years of R&D behind them that they can use to design a fuel system that they know won't leak. So once you've installed 2 of the fuel pumps, you now obviously have twice the fuel pressure, right? The Senna has got 2 fuel controllers, as does the 765. So 765 has got Senna pumps, the Senna has Senna pumps, and the 750S has Senna pumps as well. The 720S doesn't, the McLaren GT doesn't, so we retrofit these fuel pumps into these cars. This should make around 950 wheel on pump gas, and there's no clutch in this, so we should see around 1100 wheel on ethanol. Fired the car up on the base map. The first thing that we're looking to set up is fueling, right? So you can see long-term fuel trim on bank 1 and bank 2 are running at 0.72 and 0.78. That means that the engine ECU is pulling out 28% and 22% of fuel, right? Because it's getting too much fuel, so it's pulling out 22 and 28%. That's your long-term fuel trims. On an engine ECU, majority of ECUs have got short-term and long-term fuel trims. The reason why they have this is so that they can run closed-loop fueling, right? Short-term is the immediate change the engine does to the fueling to pull fuel out or add extra fuel, right? It uses the lambda sensors to monitor the air-to-fuel ratio. Long-term fuel trim is the average of the short-term fuel trim. So yeah, pulling a lot of fuel out here. We're going to make a revision now because we want to see long-term fuel trims as close to 1.00 as possible. The ECU can add or remove up to 30% of fuel, so it can add 30% or remove 30%. That goes for both your short-term and your long-term fuel trims. Gonna flash a revision on now. Clear the fueling up, and we're gonna get to work on tuning this on pump gas. In Dubai, you also recover your Nissan Sunny, you know? Even the Nissan Sunny gets a recovery. Right, we're seeing a bit of knock at 800 wheel horsepower, which is strange. This engine was built by Magnus. We don't know if it's the fuel or if the setup is just noisy. I don't know what pistons are inside the engine, unfortunately. So, to rule it out, we're going to up the octane and see if the noise remains with more octane. So we're pouring E85 in, and we're going to turn it up and see if the noise disappears or if it remains, because if it disappears, then that means the knock was real and it could be a fueling related issue. If it remains, then we know that it's just a noisy engine. All right, so we poured the ethanol in to see if it cleans up the knock. It did, which means it's probably a dud tank of gas. We're going to finish up tuning on E85 and then we'll revert back to the 98 octane tuning to see if we can figure out why it's knocking at 800 wheel. Most likely to be a bad tank of gas, but we didn't just want to turn it up tonight and, you know, dull down the knock sensors just in case it wasn't. This is pretty much maxed out on E85. We have stock clutch in there, E85, built engine, turbos, no Senna cams on this engine. So this is what an engine makes around 28, 29 PSI without Senna cams. You want to hit 12, 1300, 1400 wheel, you need Senna cams and you need a lot more boost. What happened there? The crank hub slipped. You probably noticed I was going for the pull. It was going to be the last pull or two, and the engine just died. I know from experience that that's the crank hub that just slipped. Obviously we didn't build this engine, we are just tuning it. Usually we don't take on builds that have been done elsewhere to tune, but we made an exception for this because it's the guys at Magnus that built it. Magnus do a really good job with their builds, but they don't tune them as well, so I don't think they've had a lot of feedback from the builds. We ran into crank hub slipping issues like, what, three years ago now. We do have a solution for it, so it's time to yank this engine out and install an upgraded crank bolt. We got very, very lucky that it happened on the dyno and not in the street during a power shift, because what happened was the OEM safety kicked in, and when the OEM safety kicks in, when there's a really bad crank and cam correlation, when they don't line up, the engine just switches ignition off and switches the fueling off to save it, you know, so that the valves don't end up touching the pistons. But if this happens during a power shift, you're gonna cook your engine. So we pulled the engine out from the 720S that was not built by us. Yeah, so I'm 99.9999% sure that it spun the crank hub on the dyno. So when they spin the crank hub, you have two scenarios. If you spin the crank hub during a power shift, usually the valves hit the pistons and it's game over. You need to rebuild the entire engine, or you can get lucky. And if you get lucky, the crank and the cams go out of time by 45 degrees and the engine just cuts off. It literally just cuts off and it won't start back up. It's one of the craziest things ever. You saw it on the dyno, guys. Like, you know, during the pull, it just switched off. So yeah, and no matter what you do, it won't fire back up. It almost feels like an electrical fault when that happens. But anyway, because I think 3 years ago, we've been through this, spinning crank hubs. We know when a car spun the crank hub. Anyway, this is the stock crank hub bolt, right? and the stock crank hub bolt is a 12.9 grade. So the number is the grade of the bolt. You've got like 10.9, 12.9. 12.9 is one of the stronger bolts that you can get. It's not the strongest, but it's one of the stronger ones, right? The problem with a bolt like this is it's a stretch bolt. So technically it's a one-time use bolt. One-time use bolts cannot be reused, and you cannot buy this bolt from Mclaren. So technically you cannot refit this bolt to a Mclaren. You have to replace it. And if you don't replace it, you're playing with fire. And nobody knows the torque spec. We know the torque spec of it because we've done some testing. We've stretched it a bit, so we know the yield of the bolt. But anyway, ultimately we replaced the bolt with an ARP 2000 bolt. So now we're gonna get these covers off and lock the crank so we can check the timing, and then we'll need to check the valves as well to see if they've hit the pistons. I don't think they did, but it's better to be sure. Right, Ifti, let's check the timing on this.
I checked the timing. Timing is out.
It's out?
Yeah.
You've locked it at the bottom?
Yeah,
it's not too bad. Okay, these are your timing points. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These should be totally flat. So if they're not totally flat with the crank locked at the bottom, then you know the timing's out straight away. Like these should be totally flat. Like if you put a ruler over that, the ruler should be mating to this surface and this surface perfectly. But obviously I don't even need to put the timing bridge on there to know that it's out. Anyway, we're now gonna get it timed and check the valves out to see if the valves have hit or not. Very important, guys, if you're going for over 1100 wheel or even 1000 wheel, upgrade your freaking crank hub bolts. Like we've seen so much of this over the years, even on stock engines that haven't been built. You just really have to upgrade the crank hub bolt, guys. It's really, really important. Make sure you do something about that. We usually don't tune engines that have been built elsewhere. We made an exclusion for this one. It was built by the great guys at Magnus. Respect their work. Marco's a great guy. Unfortunately with them, they haven't had a lot of feedback on their builds because nobody's pushed them, right? Nobody's pushed them past 1200 wheel. Who out there is building McLarens over 1200 wheel? Nobody. We're the only ones, right? So they don't actually have the feedback to know that the crank hubs are spinning. We realized this 3 years ago. We posted about it on YouTube. But yeah, nothing wrong with the build, just one of the solutions that we're missing that we now have. I'm sure Marco will now add them to his new builds as well. But yeah, other than that, great engine. I'll speak to the client to see if he wants to upgrade to Senna cams as well, because we have it open, so why not? Senna cams are good for about 5% power, so if you're making 800 wheel on pump gas, for example, you'll now make 840 wheel. And if you're making 1400 wheel on race gas, you'll now make 1470 wheel with Senna cams. They've been tried, tested, proven to death that they're good for a 5% gain. And they sound just so much better as well than the stock cams. Like, it's a no-brainer. If you've got your engine open, go for the Senna cams. Okay, so now we pulled the heads off to check the valve seal, and unfortunately it seems that it spun the crank hub enough to hit all of the valves on every single cylinder. So you see the marks here on every piston. The valve touched the piston and it bent the valve. Fortunately, believe it or not, it could have been worse. The valve could have broken off, and when the valve breaks off, it destroys the cylinder as well. But in this case, it's just the pistons and the valves. It is what it is. We'll get them replaced and we'll get the engine back together. It looks like we're not as lucky as we thought we were. 7,500 RPM, 1100 wheel horsepower, spinning a crank hub. Even though it was on the dyno, it was enough for it to hit the valves.